Okay, reporting to you live from, I don't know where this is, but because of the topic of today's video, and it's not doom and gloom, it's not scary, it's not nothing like that. However, I got to keep it light because through astrology, of course, we can see a lot. It's not just fluff with me. I don't do like just everything's all rainbows and fairies over here. We live in reality. We are human. We've gone through things, and I want to kind of discuss what risks potentially you can see through your eighth house. And when people hear eighth house, they get all scared or whatever. It's not a scary house. However, Scorpio does rule over the eighth house. And the eighth house does deal with transformation. A lot of people like go through the depths of their emotions, just going through things and then transforming through, again, the natal placements or even transits. You can also see that through, of course, the chart and why did somebody break into my car, at this time? Why did, when I was trying to cut some apples, now I cut my finger with a knife? Like all of that is seen again through your birth chart. Like you can see all of this stuff. And some people have been known to kind of go through the same experience over and over and over again, like the pattern of like I knew somebody who was constantly breaking bones and then realizing that they're a Capricorn, just depending on your alignment, like why you are more prone to that kind of stuff. Capricorn rules over that skeletal system, the knees, the bones, like the aches, the pains, all of that comes through again your birth chart. So looking at your chart and seeing what sign rules over the eighth house and kind of being aware. Again, it's not 100%, don't get all scared and whatnot. But just understanding, because like I said, even with learning what Aquarius, the body part Aquarius rules over, the ankles, the calves, like that lower half. I walk much slower now because I had rolled my ankle almost like, actually couldn't walk, but I rolled my ankle recently and not paying attention. But again, now understanding like, hold on now, I'm more prone to that kind of stuff because of my own alignment. So I walk everywhere, like looking down. Like I should have already been doing that, but now I'm just like super hyper aware again when you realize like what you've been given, you move different, okay? So if you are somebody who has Aries that rules over your eighth house, you can be somebody who's more prone to, I want to say like physical danger. Like you do things quickly, impulsively. Again, like if you're cutting some vegetables, cutting up some fruit, and then, nick your finger, cut yourself with a knife, like those kind of things can be seen whenever Aries rules over your eighth house. So that's kind of something you need to be made aware of to slow down because Aries is quick and fast and impulsive and is just like trying to hurry up. So being, being aware of that, using any kind of utensils, any kind of weapons, you can be prone to those kind of accidents. So always too, especially with the head, like because Aries rules over the head, if you're riding a bike, like wear a helmet, riding a motorcycle, like wear a helmet, put something over your head because that can also be a thing too. Even headaches can also be seen through Aries energy over the eighth house. So that's just kind of something, again, to be made aware of, because people, they be doing too much sometimes with that impulsive energy. Okay. So Aries, eighth house, slow down. If Taurus rules over your eighth house, you're not so much prone to, I want to say physical danger, but more of like financial. So loans and debts. And of course, that can be very detrimental to people because, during like the Great Depression and even whenever there's some kind of like financial collapse, people like they be jumping out of windows, they be like it really like that's danger. Okay. So even if it's not physical danger, you could be somebody who could just be like prone to, again, the loss through money, maybe even excess too. Like, because Taurus is the Venusian energy, excess with, of your senses, physical excess, food excess, overeating. And then of course, overeating leads to a lot more issues. So that's something to be aware of. And then also make sure that you are paying attention to your throat, taking care of your throat because Taurus rules over the throat. Any kind of, I don't know, maybe eating too fast, choking. Be aware of that. I have actually saved someone, my best friend, love ya, because she was eating way too fast and choked on a taco, and I had to give her the Heimlich in the middle of Torchy's tacos, y'all. True story. But that's that story for another time. So if you have Taurus placements, that Taurus over the eighth house, take care of those things, please. Okay. If you have Gemini ruling over the eighth house, then you could be more prone to issues with social media. Maybe people who are stalking your pages because Gemini is communication. I would say like danger. I don't, again, that the word is very dramatic, but maybe people like messaging you too much, harassing you too much. That is kind of something to be aware of. Problems with communication, also problems with air or air element, like going outside with pollution, inhaling smoke, needing to take care of your lungs. So it's advised for, people have Gemini ruled over the eighth house, like not to smoke too much because your lungs, because Gemini rules over the lungs. So being aware of that, making sure that if the quality of air is not good in your city that day, stay inside, protect yourself. Don't think like, oh, it's cool, I got this. You are more sensitive to those kind of things as opposed to other people too. So just to be aware of that. If Cancer rules over your eighth house, then you could be more prone to issues that have to do with water, maybe bodies of water, rivers. So making sure you got a floaty on, making sure that you are always wearing a vest of some sort, swimming, bathtubs, all that kind of stuff too. So just to be aware of that water element, because Cancer, of course, is moon, and moon is that the water, behind me. That, and again, it's not doom and gloom, just to be aware. It could be anything. I have had I ain't even gonna talk about that, but thinking that you could swim for a long time and then you can't, and just be aware, just wear a safety vest, all that kind of stuff, or just don't be around water. But again, it's just awareness. Also too, if you have Leo ruling over your eighth house, then that could be maybe issues that have to do with overexposure of the sun. So I'm not a what is that called? Sunscreen person. Like I do not, believe in that just because of the chemicals. And if I was to go into the actual like medical part of that, that's a whole nother story too. But being aware of the sun, not being exposed to too much sun, maybe fire, animals, those kind of things can also be a thing with Leo ruling over the eighth house. And then also like making sure you're taking care of your blood work, and heart ailments, because Leo does rule over the heart. So, making sure you're active, making sure that you're keeping that blood flow constant, that there's no blockages, just to be aware of that too. Okay. If you have Virgo ruling over your eighth, then you could be more prone to nervous disorders like because it's anxiety, always worrying, always anxious. So being aware of that, not people sometimes they can like overly think things in their head, like I have this problem, I have that problem, and then it could lead to a false diagnosis. They're on WebMD, they're trying to diagnose themselves, so tone it down. And maybe also issues with pets. I like let's say like walking your pet, and I've seen these videos like dog taking off. And because Virgo does rule over the sixth house, and the sixth house does have to do with pets, like people who walk their dog and their dog just takes off and then you fall or trip, because of that. So just being aware of issues with pets, making sure that your pets are not like carrying anything to where it could also affect you too. And then also, if you have Libra ruling over the eighth house, then it could be issues with relationships, issues with the wrong relationship, issues with finding balance, finding fairness in relationships. It can also be people who can like issues because you become too lazy. And so being too lazy, sitting around, lounging around could, weight gain, and then health problems because of weight gain, and then also issues with the kidneys because Libra does rule over the kidneys. So making sure that you're doing a constant kidney cleanse, or not, eating anything or doing anything that affects your kidneys as well. That is also something too that is seen through having a Libra ruled eighth house. Now, if you have Scorpio ruling over the eighth house, then of course you could deal with like people who are a little bit more hostile towards you, maybe like some kind of sneakiness, some kind of like underhanded deals. Scorpio does deal with like a deception. I have seen, people who have been like gotten like money stolen from friends, like a friend stealing money from them, just like it's Scorpio. It is secretive. It is, it's quiet, it's manipulative. It can be all those kind of things too. So that scorpionic energy, dealing with issues with that, maybe jealousy in relationships, arguing in relationships, because again, that's just scorpionic energy. A lot of bruises and burns can also be a thing too with Scorpio, because Scorpio is Martian energy. So Mars, It's quick, it's impulsive. Although it is a water sign, it's still like it's like the fire sign of the water sign. So, not to be too impulsive or too rash in things whenever you are moving about your day. Don't let anybody, even you take a trip to New Orleans, somebody doing like some kind of, what they be doing over there, like stay away from those kind of people. Stay away from that, those kind of places, I would say. And then Sagittarius, of course, if you have Sagittarius on the eighth house, then you could be, just be aware of if you are handling, again, weapons, any kind of competitive sports, seeing injuries from that, people, again, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire sign, you look at Sagittarius, the man with the bow and arrow, that is kind of something too. Also like being aware of when you're traveling, you know, you always got to be aware all the time, 24/7, no matter who you are. But with each sign, of course, Sagittarius is known for traveling. People who are, being lured by foreigners, you don't speak the language. You think they're being nice. You think they're being kind. You think they're trying to help. Just to be aware of that, too. Also, any kind of mentors you have, any kind of guides that you have, because Sagittarius is the philosopher, is the teacher, is the mentor, making sure that you're not getting swindled by them or, too gullible around them just because they are somebody who is guiding you, that everything they say is like correct, just to be aware. It don't matter who it is. It don't matter if it's friends, family, relationship, mom, dad, whatever, be aware of who you are talking to and listening to 24/7. Okay. Just take everything with a grain of salt. Okay. If you have Capricorn over the eighth house, then you could be, again, more of like issues in old age. I don't know if y'all have seen like videos of like older people getting sucker punched, because Capricorn is associated with old age, or just things like deception from older people. Just because somebody is older does not mean that, they're so cute and innocent. So just to be aware of that too. Again, breaking bones can also be a thing with Capricorn over the eighth house. So if you have seen that in your life, let me know. If you have Capricorn placements too, your joints, I want to say like they're weak. You could be somebody who is Capricorn over the eighth and very strong, but just awareness of taking care of your bones. And then also too, Capricorn is Saturnian energy and Saturn is government. So being aware if you owe the government any money, because the eighth house is also taxes, inheritance, debt, the government, the IRS, all that is seen through the eighth house. So, maybe you owe people some money, that can also be a thing too whenever you have Capricorn over the eighth. But if you have Aquarius over the eighth, then it can be issues that have to do with maybe electricity. You get shocked by the plug. I have felt that before as an Aquarius sun, touching an outlet and then you feel like the shock from the outlet, any kind of like plugs, wires, appliances, like I'm hyper aware of, making sure there's no water around it, making sure my hands are dry, like those kind of things you have to pay attention to. Also, cardiac, the rhythmic can be irregular too. I actually, although I don't have an Aquarius over the eighth as an Aquarius sun, I did have to wear a heart monitor in high school, so that's just kind of something to be aware of. Your circulatory system can be a little bit weaker, just depending on, again, your entire birth chart, but that can also be a thing too. And then if you have Pisces over the eighth, it can be bodies of water. It can be your feet, but it can also be people who are like overindulgent, like excess, because Pisces is known for escapism. So dealing with issues that have to do with medication or any kind of like drugs or anything like that, any kind of like addictive substances, alcohol, that can also be a thing, Pisces over the eighth. So just to be aware of that. But, again, this is not something to scare people, but again, you are human. Like everybody's dealt with something. Like everybody's had either some kind of injury, some kind of something, like something from somewhere. I don't care who you are, you've probably dealt with something. Even if it was just a little rash, even if it was just a little cut, a little bruise, that is all coming from somewhere. So just wanted to give people a little quick thing, because I do believe in living in reality when it comes to astrology. We are all human, living this human experience and just being aware. Like like I said, I'm so hyper aware now. Like I'm walking slow. I'm making sure my ankles are good. I'm making sure my shoes are right. I'm making sure of all of that. I'm working out. I'm keeping the heart healthy. I'm doing all of that because I have the knowledge and the awareness. Now, you cannot prevent everything, obviously, but it is good to know, so you can take precautions. So, anyways, y'all, if you would like, of course, me to do a full birth chart interpretation, because that is what I do as a full-time astrologer, and then of course you can visit my website. I feel like I can do it all. I feel like I practice, Western, Vedic, numerology, astrocartography. I mean, I'm reading all day, every day, studying all day, every day. I can do it all. So you can go ahead and go to my website. Let's book a session. I'm not here to scare. I got a Sag stellium. I'm all about hope and optimism and positivity. But again, I live in reality. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.